Hello and welcome to your first video. Please make sure you have this worksheet in front of you. The first definition is for vertical angles. If you look at the picture, the vertical angles are actually across from each other, and right here, that's an example of vertical angles. And what I want you to write in the box is that angles that are across from each other, they are equal in value. The second one, angles forming a right angle. A lot of you know that right here we have a right angle that's usually denoted by a square in the corner, and what we're going to write there is that angles that add up to 90 degrees. The next one, angles on a line. In this case we have these two angles here. We do know that these two add up to 180, so what I want you to write in the box there is that they add up to 180 degrees. And then the last one is something new. It's called angles at a point. And if I was to start here and go all the way around the circle, I would realize that that is in fact 360 degrees. So the sum of the angles at a point is always 360 degrees, like going around a circle. We have some basic definitions that you should probably already know, but just in case, I want you to write them down again anyway. The first one is complementary. And the answer to that, or the definition, is two angles whose sum is 90 degrees. Supplementary, that's just very similar but different. It adds up to 180 degrees. So two angles whose sum is 180 degrees. And then the next one might be something new for some of you, but this is adjacent angles. These are two angles that share a common side and a common vertex. If they make a line, then they are in fact supplementary. Two things to remember about complementary and supplementary. If I was to make a C for complementary, I could also turn that into a 9 for a 90. So that's a good way to remember complementary is 90. And if I was to draw an S for supplementary, I could also turn that into a 180, so that's a good way to remember that supplementary is 180 and complementary is 90. Please pause the video if you need to, but so that you can copy all the definitions before you go to the next page. Okay, moving on. In this case it says find the measure of each labeled angle. So in this first one, if I'm looking for angle 1, I should know that these two add up to 180. So I'm going to do 180 minus 145, and I'm going to get 35 in this case. And the reason for that would be that angles on a line add up to 180 degrees. Kind of makes sense if you think about it. The next one, angle 2. This angle is across from this one, so it must in fact be 40. So angle 2 is vertical with 40 degrees, so I'm going to write a 40 in there. Now the next two are kind of interesting. It talks about angles 3 and angle 4. Now we do know that this angle here makes a line with this angle, so the blue one must in fact be 140 degrees. So I'm going to write 140. And the reason for that would be angles on a line add up to 180 degrees. Then moving on to the next one, angle 3 and angle 4 are in fact vertical. They're across from each other, so they must be equal in measure. So I'm going to write 140 there, and the reason for that is it's vertical with angle 3. And then the last example in this section, angle 5, it's looking for this big angle. I do happen to know that if I went around in the circle, that was 360 degrees. So I could do 360 minus 122, and I would get 238. So the answer to that last one is 238. The reason is that angles at a point add up to 360 degrees. Okay, so moving on, we're going to go to example 2. It's on the bottom for you. So it says name an angle that is supplementary to HZJ. Now we haven't talked about this yet, but in fact, if I am looking for angle HZJ, I am going to follow this right here. This is H, this is Z, and this is J. So I'm talking about the angle that's right in here, HZJ. The angle that is in fact next to HZJ, this one, right over here, if I look at this line here, it would be this angle here. Now there are definitely two answers to this question, but the one that I chose is angle JZF because angles on a line are supplementary. Can you think of another angle that this actually works for? What other angle is supplementary? So if you think about it, if we looked at this line here, we would notice that this angle is also supplementary to that. And that answer would be angle HZG. So that's the second answer there. Now, moving on to the next one. It says name an angle that's complementary to HZG. So HZG we're looking for, or HZJ, we're looking for something that is making a right angle. If we look here, this is in fact a right angle here. So the correct answer is angle JZA because angles forming a right angle are complementary. And then the last example, name an angle congruent to HZJ. We're looking for vertical angles. So if you look carefully, this angle right here is the one that's vertical with this one. These two are vertical, so the correct answer is angle FZG because it is vertical with angle JZH. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next page. Okay, on this next one, there's a bunch of algebra involved, and we're going to take these together. So if we look at this first one, these three angles should in fact add up to 180. So I'm going to write an equation, 97 plus x plus 36 equals 180, and then I'm going to solve it from there. So 97 plus 36 is in fact 133 plus x equals 180. Subtract 133 from both sides, and I wind up with x is equal to 47. So that's the first one. On the next example, number 2, we're looking at the fact that this is a right angle. So x plus 36 plus 40 equals 90. X plus 76 equals 90. And x is equal to 14. On the next example, we know that these three angles together add up to 180. So I'm going to have x plus 82 plus x equals 180. 2x plus 82 equals 180. I'm going to subtract 82 from both sides, and I'm going to get 2x equals 98. And then x is equal to 49. And then we just have one last example. I'll do it in black. So we know that these angles all the way around here add up to 360. So I'm going to write x plus x plus x plus 91 plus 91 plus 91 is equal to 360. I wind up with 3x plus 273 is equal to 360. I'm going to subtract 273 from both sides, and I wind up with 87. 3x is equal to 87, and then I divide by 3, and x is equal to 29. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.